I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, and episode 2.
Yeah!
I'm really excited. They called me back.
Yeah, yeah, we totally still have jobs, and that's
Yay!
great!
But of course, Newegg Now. This is where we're going to deliver the hottest news in tech, in consumer electronics, PC building, gaming, and of course, delivering some deals that will only be accessible during this show.
So if this is your first time tuning into Newegg Now, we're going to give you cool info, fun demos. You get a lot of Juan and myself, unfortunately. But the cool thing that you really care about is the limited time price cuts and the promotions, which are only available as a part of this show, Newegg Now. So here's what you need to know. Watch along with us at newegg.com/NewEggNow to see all the promo codes, see all the savings, and get more information about the products that we're featuring today.
Absolutely.
And if you happen to be watching on Facebook or YouTube, then you can check out the link below to head right to Newegg Now headquarters.
That's right. Live, learn, love, and spend less money.
Ooh, I like that.
I was trying to go for the L alliteration.
I get it.
Couldn't quite stick the landing, but I wanted to.
Let's get started. Sorry,
Excellent.
we're just cheese all over the place today.
This is great. I love it.
I hope it's Gouda for you. First up today on Newegg Now, we're entering the exciting new world of mixed reality with Acer. Take a look.
All right, welcome back. So virtual reality, not going away.
No, I don't think so.
Super popular. In fact, you know, why deal with real reality when you can have more of a virtual reality spreading? It's unstoppable. You can't stop it.
It's the oasis.
I want that so bad.
No, well, the age of mixed reality is now here, thanks to Microsoft and Windows. And also here is Eric from Acer to tell us about Acer's new mixed reality headset. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, so can you start off by telling us what you do at Acer?
Yeah, certainly. I've got a long title, Senior Product Marketing and Brand Manager. To simplify that, it means I'm a geek, I can talk.
Good.
So I get to come here to do things like this.
Right on. I mean, so we like talking. That's great. I mean, jumping right into that talking, I think one of the big questions, we're talking about marketing and branding, what is mixed reality? We've been talking about VR for a while. This is a different name, so it must be something different.
Well, and it is something different than the mixed reality of yesteryear, what Oculus was calling mixed reality. So what is the new mixed reality?
So it's definitely a refresh. It's not entirely virtual reality. It's not augmented reality. It's somewhere in between, but it leans more heavily towards virtual reality. One of the things that really differentiates is the fact that it's simple and easy to set up because the cameras on the front allow for mapping the room or the space that you're in without having to put sensors all around. That's kind of where it gets a little bit away from the virtual reality. In the future, potentially be able to use those cameras on the front of the headset to input things like an augmented reality type of situation.
Excellent. And so that, because VR has been out for a while in sort of consumers' hands, we've been playing with numerous examples.
People know what it is, yeah.
I mean, there seems to be generally a higher consumer awareness now, as we're all like kind of waiting to see what kind of content is out. How is something like this, for that consumer who's considering this, how is something like this going to differ from like an Oculus or a Vive?
Well, absolutely. The thing that's going to stand out the most is how simple and easy it is to set up. So it only takes a couple minutes. There are not massive sensor arrays that need to be placed around the room or drilled and placed into the wall or ceiling. There's no stands that you're going to trip over. It's a couple of cables that connect to your PC after you've had your latest Windows update, and you're good to go.
And what is the difference in terms of, say, from an Oculus or a Vive as far as field of view, resolution?
So we're looking at the resolution on all of the Windows mixed reality headsets at 2880 by 1440. It's got two lenses in there. The field of view is between 95 degrees and 110. There's a couple little tricks that can be done either with the display itself. There's one brand that's a little bit different. But more importantly, by the connection to the PC. If you're using HDMI 1.4 versus 2.0, you get a different experience.
Okay.
So that presents in the field of view a little bit, but more importantly with the refresh rate. So those are some of the things that are a little bit different. And as I talk about, all of the headsets having these things, it's an ecosystem. It's something to remember. So what's the difference between the existing VR products and now the mixed reality products? Well, we have this ecosystem, so everything is working together and interchangeable, and it should help grow the whole segment.
Because we're looking at other companies that are putting out products built to a similar spec. So it's not just an Oculus solution for Oculus.
Right.
Microsoft is helping to guide this platform as a way that some of these pieces can be a bit more interchangeable.
Yeah, they're bringing it together with all of their partners, Acer being one of the launch partners. We had development kits that were out there. They ship them to developers to create content to bring to market. Microsoft is also working with Steam VR to bring the content from that platform over to mixed reality, so this is really cool.
And so Steam VR isn't there yet, though.
No.
He's good.
No.
So you were mentioning, sorry, because I want to follow up on the HDMI.
Go for it. Go, get it.
So you were talking about if you're on one standard of HDMI, it's a different experience. Could you maybe talk about what some of the hardware requirements might be like? Because I had a great experience with this where previous, like especially dev kit VR solutions, we've joked about this before. I'm a very sensitive individual when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm very delicate. How does that impact the experience someone's likely to have? And I think a lot of people are curious, does this need the same kind of requirements as something like an HTC Vive
or an
Oculus?
Hear that this can run a VR experience on integrated graphics, and that's amazing to even
So that's one of the really exciting things about this platform is the fact that it will work with lower powered systems. Not to say that they're not great or anything, but the spec level, the threshold has come down. And so integrated graphics now are supported and can give you that experience. So it'll give you the experience at a lower refresh rate at 60 hertz. And talking about your experience with dev kits, and we've talked about that before, you really, if you're one of those people, and everybody's different, that is sensitive to the environment, you want the faster refresh rate. You want it'll reduce some of that nausea or dizziness that you might have in the VR experience. So if you're running a system with integrated graphics, you're going to be dropping to the lower frame rate. You're still going to have a great experience, but you could be, if you're susceptible to it, potentially hitting into some of those nauseous moments. If you have the discrete graphics, you have the powerful GeForce GTX 1050 or Ti or all the way up to Titan X and things like that.
This beautiful machine here that I'm kind of getting distracted by.
And you connect with that HDMI 2.0 connector. Now you're up at 90 hertz, and it's much more smooth, and you're not going to have any problems.
Now, on the sort of integrated graphics, that we're sort of now talking about a minimum refresh rate, right? Because back in the glory days of gaming, like, oh yeah, I can totally get 150 frames per second in this one cutscene. If I don't move the mouse at all, you can hit this maximum. Is there sort of a better guarantee now that we've standardized this sort of computing power at the Intel chipset level that we can say reasonably with some certainty that that's what you're going to get?
Yeah, it's funny, there's been no unifying message even from Microsoft or Intel or my competitors or Acer about what that is, but essentially it is a standard performance experience that you're going to get based on the hardware you have. So we're probably looking at an i5 processor, Intel Core i5. Got to get that right for branding purposes.
Nicely done.
Yeah. And obviously going up from there, and there are a lot of variables, though. There's a crazy wacky chart that kind of describes what works and what doesn't. But for people that want to know if this works, there's actually a very simple way to test. So Microsoft has a tool that will go in and test your hardware and very simply with a little green check mark or a red X say, yes, your system passes for this, 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 and this, and you're good to go. That way you know before you even buy the headset that your system's ready to go.
Support it.
That's super easy. I love that so much. And so then you know you have the hardware in place. And I think with previous headsets, with Vive, with Oculus, people have the perception that the hardware is there, it's ready, but the content is maybe where the experience overall is lagging behind. So what apps and games are out there right now for Windows Mixed Reality that you might recommend?
Wow. So predominantly right now we're looking at games. So super hot. Amazing. We saw.
We were
some,
talking about this off camera. It's so good.
It's
so
one of the best things, and Microsoft knows that early adopters, people that like technology, are going to be playing games, but they want to open this up, and Acer, as one of their launch partners, wants to as well, to make this accessible to a wider audience. So what we've seen is with the development kits going out there and close partnerships with the developers, content is on the way that will support beyond games. It'll be much more rich experience and really great for other segments that people often don't think about. So education, travel, home makeovers, and will this sofa fit in my room, or do I like that color or not? Do I paint the wall? And being able to do all that really quick and easy.
Well, and there did seem to be, I mean, we're talking about Microsoft, so obviously they've got, sort of a wide spread on different experiences, from gaming to then more office and productivity, but there does seem to be a lot of HoloLens DNA built into the idea of this, especially like you were saying, the ability to kind of map your room without setting up sensors. We were playing, when we were doing our demos, we were playing in a really confined space, and I don't know that I could have set up that kind of hardware for something that was more sensors in your room, location tracking. Have there been discussions, I mean, especially what Acer might be bringing to the table on something like education? Have you guys been having those kinds of conversations about what to bring to schools or to partners or to other developers?
This is a really good question. It opens up a lot of different ways we can go with this, but I know we're limited on time. One of the things I want to point out was the sensors in the space and the fact that it has the cameras on the front to map the room and know where you are. It makes it really easy to set up two types of experiences. One where you're standing and walking around in the environment, and the other where you're sitting. And I think about education, students are going to probably be sitting, they're not walking around. So it's very simple to put the headset on, map the space you're going to use as you're seated, and then get into it. And Acer has a great education program. We have a lot of great partners.
Nice.
We're #1 in the nation with Chromebooks into education. I mean, we're really knocking it out of the park. So we've got great partners there, and then we're working with content developers now to match what the schools are looking for with the developer's ability to deliver. Things like, a student at a high school needs to go look at a campus for college. Do I want to go there? Or are they going to fly to all these campuses around the country, or are they going to put a headset on and get an experience of what it's like on campus?
I can't wait for that day where I can just hire a little remote control robot with a 360 camera to go driving down, like, I want to go to the Vatican.
Yeah, field trips all over the place.
So we had a chance to play. I mean, obviously, with the discussion on education, and I have a kid, so I'm very concerned about that kind of stuff. But we didn't spend any time trying educational apps.
No, we didn't. We played games.
We played games. So we should probably throw to some of that footage so we can talk about that. One of the things I really want to bring up is most of my experiences on VR have been mobile. Putting a phone in a cradle, and I'm good for about 10 minutes. First of all, the phone starts getting really hot because it's overdriving that hardware. But I was gaming on both the Ghostbusters demo and Super Hot, and I think I went a good half hour before I even was conscious of the time, with no ill effect. I don't know that I've had a first-person experience like that.
Yeah, that's
playing in VR.
That's really amazing for you, Juan. That's
she knows. I mean, that's really amazing for you,
really
Juan.
Great. As someone who very rarely gets motion sickness from virtual reality, I feel for you. But I mean, I had a great experience with this. I think Super Hot's an awesome game. So when we talk about the content that's available, more things where the game itself can be improved via this experience are very, very cool. So I feel like everybody out there is feeling a little jealous, having just watched us play, and is thinking this sounds great. But the big question is, how much is this headset, and is it available now?
Well, as part of Newegg Now, I'm glad you asked.
Oh.
You can get a great deal on the Acer hardware designed to run this mixed reality, to power all of your mixed reality fantasies. And you actually brought, the hardware that we're going to have on special today.
So yeah, of course, we've got the headset itself, and one of the reasons you were able to play for so long without any ill effects is it's very light. It's the lightest of the Windows Mixed Reality headsets.
Nice.
Very soft foam, and then the visor itself will lift up. So when you need to go pop in and out of your experience in mixed reality and then use the keyboard or Take care of a crying kid. It's easy to do.
It's such a small thing, but like I'm so used to that over-the-head strap phone thing that you have to completely remove. Oh, I've got to do this. I got an alert on my phone while I'm playing my favorite gunslinger game.
And it was very simple with glasses.
Yes.
As well, which was really nice.
So obviously the headset's available for sale, and the Aspire Nitro 5 gaming laptop, 15.6-inch screen, full HD, Intel Core i5 processor. We're going with the GeForce GTX 1050 here. Nice. So it's more than enough power to pair perfectly with this. You're going to have a great experience. And sleek aluminum design on that chassis.
We were talking about that. It's like I like these sort of car-inspired gaming laptops.
Might be hard to catch on the camera, but yeah, nice lines.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And so the headset is available now, yeah?
It's in stock, ready to go.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, thanks so much for dropping by. We've got to talk about specials and promo codes and all that fun stuff.
We sure do. We've got a lot of good stuff for you.
Talking about the deals, this is a huge deal, exclusively, easy for me to say, as part of Newegg Now. We are talking about the Acer Nitro and the new mixed reality headset together. Normally, that's going to be around $12.50.
Okay.
You're going to get them both for $999.98.
Wow. Well said, sir.
$999.98.
So you're getting an entire mixed reality experience for under $1,000.
Under $1,000. Use that promo code. You're going to find it on newegg.com/newegg-now. You'll get the brand new Acer Aspire Nitro 5 gaming laptop and a mixed reality headset for all of your super hot VR fragging needs.
Yeah, so again, that's $999.98 to get everything. If you want to start playing VR games, that's all you need to do right now. I think it's a great deal. I want to say a huge thank you again to Eric for coming out here. Thank you to Acer.
And bringing it for us to play with.
Yeah, indeed. And to everyone at home, thank you guys for sticking around. Coming up next, we'll be talking serious power with EVGA and GPU overclocking. All right, so we're coming to you guys with more Newegg Now, and today we're talking overclocking your GPU with help from our pals at EVGA. Yeah. And of course, we've got a great Newegg Now deal for you, EVGA's GTX 1080 Ti and their PowerLink cable management system. And we'll have more details on what's going on with those deals a little later on, because right now we are excited to welcome EVGA's Jacob to answer all our overclocking questions. Welcome, Jacob.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. What do you do at EVGA?
So I'm product manager at EVGA, so basically anything that involves new existing products, going to shows as well. I just came back from DreamHack, which was a lot of fun, and then talking to you guys, so thanks for having me.
We're very much like DreamHack. Totally.
Pretty much, yeah.
Exactly the same.
Same.
I know you guys are working on new GPU technology.
Yep.
Tell us more about EVGA's ICX technology. What does it do, and who's it for?
Yeah, sure. So we launched ICX earlier this year across a variety of different graphics cards. Actually, I have a few slides that hopefully we can check out.
Let's pull them up, definitely. We can show this off.
Yeah, talk us through them.
Sure. So ICX technology, again, launched earlier this year. It's on GTX 1060, 1070, 1080, 1080 Ti, even the new GTX 1070 Ti, which just launched today, actually. So basically what we did is we tried to rethink the cooling process on graphics cards. So what we did is we added an additional 9 sensors on the card to detect the temperatures in various different regions of the card. So we're not just relying on the graphics card temperature, we're actually looking at all parts of the card.
Individual components.
Right, yeah, so like memory, VRM. So with those 9 sensors, we're able to detect the temperatures and also adjust the fan speeds. So basically with ICX technology, all of our fans on the card run at different speeds, depending on the region. So basically, every single fan is responsible for cooling a different region. So this is an entirely different way of cooling a graphics card than what was available previously. So in addition to that, you can also monitor all of those sensors from within our software. It's called EVGA Precision XOC. So you can see what your memory temperatures are in real time, or your VRM temperatures, something that has never been available before in a graphics card. Now we can see in real time. In addition to that, I mentioned we have the individual fan curves, or the fan speeds, that spin independently depending on the region. You can also control these independently. So you can customize the card to your liking. You can set the left fan faster than the right fan, or you can find the best cooling efficiency depending on what you're looking for. And lastly, with ICX, one of the things that we added is right on top of the card, or actually the side of the card, there is 3 LEDs that will tell you the operating temperature via different colors of the GPU, memory, and power section. So you can see in real time when you're running a game or benchmark or whatever you're doing, you can see exactly what those temperatures are.
Very
That's
nice.
cool.
And so with ICX, is that also starting to take advantage of, because I'm sure a card like this is going to be going into a system where the builder has probably considered other components and cooling. I mean, again, one of the things we've talked about last week was sort of considering your PC holistically.
Right.
Is that something that integrates into someone else's like current cooling strategy, power management strategy? How does that work with? I mean, because obviously we've got a bunch of computers on tables with different solutions for keeping your rig running cool.
Right. So with ICX, I mean, basically we're able to monitor all aspects of the card and able to control each of the fans and make sure that basically all the components on the graphics card are running within acceptable temperatures, not just relying only on the GPU, because memory, VRM, they both get pretty hot.
Too, yeah.
So for us, we just want to make sure that we're developing a cooling solution that's able to cool the entire graphics card.
Yeah, so we're doing a lot of talk about temperature and cooling, and for someone who maybe is brand new to this scene and doesn't understand why this is important, can you please just from a very basic level explain to us what is overclocking and why would someone do it?
Yeah, so overclocking is essentially the act of increasing the graphics card's performance beyond what it's shipped at. And today, in 2017, it's actually really easy to do with the software that we provide. It's called EVGA Precision. There's other ways to do it as well, but Precision is one example. And cooling does play a role in that as well. As you increase the clock speeds, the voltages, the temperatures go up. So making sure that everything is running cool is very important, especially for overclocking.
And again, if someone is new to this, what would be some risks that they might want to be aware of when trying maybe for the first time?
So the great thing about overclocking today is there's actually relatively low risks overall. There's a lot of safeguards built into the graphics card and software to really prevent anything from blowing up, or whatever you want to call it.
Like my verse overclocking experience was on an AMD T-Bird, which I did manage to melt down.
Yeah. Yeah, in the old days, when like 10, 15 years ago, I mean, yeah, you could really damage something if you didn't know what you were doing. Today, there is quite a lot of safeguards built in. The one thing that you kind of just want to keep an eye on is, again, the temperatures, making sure that everything is within safe operating temperatures. But again, the card kind of does a lot of that automatically. There's not a lot of, when it comes to cooling, I mean, it'll increase the fan speeds if it's getting too hot. So that part is, you don't really need to care about that.
But really, I mean, as long as the expectation is you're putting this in a case with an adequate power supply, and you've considered the sort of the airflow or the liquid cooling solutions of the rest of the components, then the card is able to sort of manage itself.
Yeah, certainly.
When you go like, hey, hit turbo mode, you push that red button on the front of your old compact, then everything should work
for the most part. Yeah, I mean, yes, when you do increase the clock speeds and voltages, you are increasing the power as well. So you just kind of want to keep that in mind. You don't want to go over your power supply limitations. However, power supplies have a lot of safeguards built in as well. So,
shut it down.
So,
yeah. We're doing a lot of talk about how easy this is. So could you actually walk us through it and show us what it would be like?
So maybe we can switch to this PC here. So what I have here is EVGA Precision. So This is a free software that you can get at evg.com/precision. So we have a few different knobs here that we can play with. Let me see if I can actually.
I love that they look like hardware sliders.
Yeah.
From a background of like audio mixers and control surfaces.
So actually, we wanted to load up Shadow of War, which is a recent title that came out like last week or something.
Yeah, dude.
So basically, this is what it looks like when you install Precision out of the box or out of the download, whatever you. Not sure what you call it. So this is basically running at default. So the first thing that we're going to do is hopefully we can load up Shadow of War here and then show you what it looks like. In the upper left-hand corner there, what you're seeing is a precision overlay. So this is also built into the software. So it's able to show you basically all the vitals of the card in game.
What should we know about the specific graphics card in the system that we're using now?
Yeah, so the graphics card that we're using is the GTX 1080 Ti FTW3 model, which has the 3 fans and ICX technology, all that good stuff.
Cool.
So, well, let me change something here.
Again, it's a live show, guys.
Love
Doing
it.
this live.
Doing it live.
Yeah, so we are actually running a multi-cloned, dual monitored setup, so there is some kind of extra precautions that we need to consider when doing that.
Sure.
Oh, definitely. But so we were talking about
go.
increasing, sort of the output or the power of this card. Just as like a general idea, what kind of performance gains or expectations might someone have with? I mean, because it's not without some risk, obviously. As many safeguards as we have, kind of keep that from just blowing up in your face with how expensive these components are.
Right.
But I mean, all things being equal, just looking at the graphics card, this is enough of a tangible benefit that people seem to like doing it.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think part of the reason is it's relatively easy, to overclock today. It's also free, most importantly, right?
Yeah.
So you can overclock, you can get an extra maybe, I mean, it varies from card to card, but I would say an extra 2 to 3, maybe 4% headroom. And that headroom is kind of built onto every card already.
Nice.
So we can actually show the demo now if you want to.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, so again, I was saying in the upper left-hand corner, we're showing all the vitals of the card. So this is showing like all the temperatures. It's also showing my clock speeds and my frame rate in the lower left-hand corner, or actually the bottom of that list there. So you can see my GPU clock is running at 1949 megahertz. That's actually the clock speed of the card.
Okay.
So out of the box, this card's running at 1949. So again, let's try to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch to precision. So the first thing that I'm going to do is increase the power target here. That's this slider right here. And so what I'm doing by changing the power target is I'm not actually increasing the power consumption of the card. I'm just saying, okay, this is the maximum ceiling, power ceiling, you could say. So we are saying, if necessary, the card can pull up to 117% of the card's power.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the GPU clock offset. So what I'm going to do right here is set, this is relatively minor, just a 15 megahertz offset. So what we're saying here is increase 15 megahertz beyond the clock speed that the card is running at out of the box. So if we go back into Shadow of War, you should see in the, takes a little second to open up here.
Live show.
Live, doing it live.
So basically you can see that now I'm running at 1987 megahertz. So that's really, I mean, it's really that easy to overclock. I mean, now the card is essentially overclocked.
Now, with the stuff we were just talking about before this, virtual reality, mixed reality, how does EVGA, overclocking, and ICX fit into all of that?
Yeah, so with VR or AR, having a high level of performance is very important. I think I caught you guys saying earlier, if you don't have a high level of performance, you can actually get nauseous from not having 120 frames per second.
Right.
So overclocking becomes even more important in those situations because not only are you getting better performance, you're also not getting sick, potentially. So overclocking does play a role in that as well. And we kind of demonstrated it here on the 1080 FTW3, and I mean, we're running at 140 frames per second, in Shadow of War. But if you have like a GTX 1060, 1070, and you're like on the edge of playability, like 30, 35 frames per second, I mean, you can get another 5 frames per second and move into that
next
playable
range,
or maybe increase the image quality one step higher. So.
Now, will there be any benefits for non-gaming applications trying to drive a card like this more aggressively?
Yeah, so really anything that's using the graphics card is going to get benefit from overclocking. You're running the card at a higher speed, so whether that's like video encoding, if it's actually using the GPU, then it'll encode faster. You know, basically anything that's using the graphics card can benefit from being overclocked.
All right, now before we jump into our deals, which we'll get to in just one moment, what can you tell us about the EVGA power link?
Yeah, so I actually have one here. So this is the EVGA power link. There's one on the system there as well. So this is a small device that basically, it's a purely cosmetic device, and what it does is it basically plugs on the side of the graphics card just like that,
right.
And it can support a variety of different graphics cards, not even just EVGA, but a lot of different graphics cards, like a lot of the NVIDIA Founders Edition cards it's supported, and it just makes the cables look cleaner. So if you imagine your cards in your system like this, you know, you don't have these cables, unsightly cables coming out the top, you have them basically redistributed to this lower edge, and that's really essentially the goal of the product, is to clean up the cable management, make it look nicer, possibly improve airflow in the chassis as well if there's cables blocking airflow. It could, again, support a variety of different graphics cards, whether your card has a single 8-pin or dual 8-pins or 6-pin. You know, we include a little adapter here that you can change it to a 6-pin if you needed to. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were talking last week that my workstation sort of is at the end of its life, and over the upgrades that I've given, it's a total Frankenbox.
I still haven't seen a picture
right now.
of it,
I'm going to bring one in. I promise you next week we will have a picture of Frankenbox.
We'll show it on the show, maybe.
And we will, so that everyone can mock me. But it's like, you basically just built that product for me. He's like, oh, it's totally cosmetic. And you're like, I have cable problems.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of rigs that need some cable management upgrades, so we're like, hey, you know.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for running us through that demo.
Yeah.
Now that we know how to overclock.
Yes, and everyone
The
at home,
1080
thank you so
Ti.
much for sharing all that knowledge.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
So I think now it's time to buy one.
Okay.
It's time for me to buy one.
Okay.
I'm going to do that right now by going to newegg.com/Newegg Now.
That's where you go.
And so we have exclusive savings on the blue and green 1080 Ti graphics cards. Not that there's anything like special or different about the card. They're just blue,
Just different colors.
greens,
Yep.
different colors.
Yep.
Especially because I'm going to be going with a black and green build for myself.
Okay.
Now, through the end of the day today, you can pick up those two GPUs for $100 off when you use the promo code at newegg.com/Newegg Now. Plus, you'll get a $100 Newegg gift card, which you can use later.
Ooh, that's good. But
On
wait,
anything
there's
else you
more.
want. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, there is.
Then, of course, you can show off your new 1080 Ti in your case in the best possible way with the EVGA power link that we were just talking about, so it helps you keep all your cables organized. And the power link is available through the end of today only for just $9.99 after saving $20 with the promo code you'll find on the Newegg Now page. So you get to make your system look better for just $10. It's a good deal.
Excellent. So check out newegg.com/Newegg Now for full details on all of the details. If you're watching on the YouTubes or on the Facebooks, you got to click that link in the description below so that you can head on over, check out these deals. And coming up next, we're gonna talk a little network attached storage.
Ooh.
We got the folks at Western Digital coming by to school us on how to store all of your precious memories.
Okay, we'll see you guys in just a bit. Newegg Now. We're talking cloud backups and NAS drives as part of Newegg Now. You can see on our page right now we have an awesome deal on Western Digital's Red Drive. So, Juan, Is it possible for you to explain what NAS is?
Possible, yes. I could do that. But I really feel we should bring in someone more qualified than myself to have this conversation with, which, as we're going to sort of expand the camera shot over to Darren from Western Digital. Thank you so much for joining us on Newegg Now.
Thanks
Welcome,
for
Darren.
yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, so NAS, essentially it's a network attached storage. So it's an easy way for people to be able to store their files and information and be able to access it really anywhere around the world. On their network or even through the internet, yes.
Excellent. So what are some examples that people might use NAS for?
Sure. There's a number of uses, especially nowadays. Previously, it was more just for probably just storage for your files. But now that's still a key use case today, but being able to do backup and restore, archiving, and even there's applications now that you can run on many of these NASs, like even surveillance, where you can attach cameras and be able to record things in your home or
We've got certain companies that are looking at trying to add more cameras to everybody's lifestyle, and of course storing that is getting a bit dicey. I'm actually I'm running one of your boxes in my house right now, and it was that conversation with my wife. Like, we had photos and videos and like movies that we'd purchased and things like that on a variety of just different USB drives. And my wife had that kind of sticker shock, like, why do we need an even bigger box? But then it was, but any device can access. You're not walking, sneaker net. You're not plugging things into different devices. So what would make NAS, after my little rambling explanation there, what would make network attached storage better than just a straight cloud solution, something like Amazon's Web Service or Google Drive?
That's a good question.
Something like that.
Yeah, it is a great question. So there's, you get a lot of service and capability from the service providers, the cloud guys. But the nice thing about having a NAS in your home is you obviously get it in your home. If you're trading or moving files around in your home or even with your family, you have your local network speed that, whether you're uploading or downloading to it, is always going to be very high performance. With the cloud guys, you obviously have the challenge if you want to put a lot of information up there, the upload speed typically is fairly limited. And then the other one is really price, right? So and one scenario or one analogy would be lease versus buy. If you buy a NAS and you put drives in it and have it at home, it's yours, you control it, you maintain it. If you need to get beyond what the free capacity is that you're offered through a cloud company, then you've got to start paying a subscription or a monthly fee to it.
Excellent. And so, now with an understanding of what NAS is, what are some of these boxes that you've brought with you today to talk about these various drives and storage solutions?
Yeah. So we've got three different NASs here. I've got a 2-bay, which is the WD-PR2100. We've got a Synology 918 Plus, and then a QNAP TS453A. And the reason we have these is really to show kind of the 4-bay is a very high volume selling NAS system. But with a 2-bay, it might be perfect for your home where you want to just do some mirroring. You want to store but have it mirrored. But once you move up to a 4-bay, now you have many more options from a RAID capability, whether it's 0, 1, 5, 10, and it really depends on the NAS, but you have a lot more capability for protecting your data as well.
Because right now under my desk, I've got your PR4100. Run it in RAID, NBD. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So for these different boxes, I think one of the things that's been exciting to watch this space evolve has been the evolution of the software that people can use to manage this kind of stuff. I came in where, you would also have to kind of run a mini computer as an FTP server to make sure that you had some kind of file management going on. What are some of the consumer-facing solutions that people can use with this kind of big storage?
Yeah, so the great thing about the kind of the leading brands is they all have their own kind of user interface and management controls for the NAS. And you have the basic kind of screen, and then you have the advanced. So depending on what it is you want to manage, whether it's setting up quotas for your kids of putting things on there, or having just different users as well, you can do that pretty simply through these interfaces. The other interesting thing about many of the NASs available today is you can go download third-party apps as well and get additional services and even management type of software if necessary.
I mean, that was one of the things that kind of sold me too, was like seeing that space evolve into mobile devices. Like I showed my wife. We were out at the zoo. I took a bunch of photos of my daughter. The second I walked in, my phone linked up with the Wi-Fi. The little app went, boop, I'm uploading and backing up your photos. And it was that kind of a seamless presentation where, I mean, she was a big Dropbox fan.
Got it. Yep.
But then that same solution, like I can access these files. I know exactly what kind of locks we can put on that content and what kind of security we can use for that. And then, in the event of some sort of backup or tragedy, we've got this one box that we can kind of just safely hold on to for all of our stuff. You actually brought along a video to demonstrate some of the workflow that we could use or something like that. Can we fire that up, guys? Excellent. Okay, so right now we're looking at a time machine.
Yeah, so this is just showing some of the capabilities in the video. So as an example, the PR2100 does work with Time Machine and has this SmartWear Pro Plus software. And one of the questions that comes up a lot too is, can I edit on the NAS, or do I need to move all the files to my local system?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's really, it's going to be dependent on the type of NAS system that you have, but many of them now have quite a bit of horsepower that would allow you to edit on and off the NAS.
Yeah, because it's essentially a mini computer full of hard drives dedicated to serving those files where they need to go.
Correct. And you'll see here in the video too, we have the ability to run Plex with the MyCloud, and actually many of these NASs can do transcoding. So you don't have to use as much bandwidth depending on what type of device that you're going to serve up your files to.
That was a big deal for me because I love Plex, but I hated the idea of running my PC 24/7, 365. Right. When I now have a box that just sits under my desk running 24/7, 365. Right. Because we were talking too about game streaming.
Oh yeah, I imagine
files.
that a NAS would be a really great way for streamers to store replays and, like you were talking about, all of your materials necessary for video editing. How easy is it to view a video file directly off the NAS? Like, would I need to move that file back to my computer first, or would I be able to view it directly off the NAS?
Yeah, assuming you have a good network, which you'd have to have a really poor network not to be able to do that.
NAS is probably an important component.
It is. In most cases, once you've got it set up and you have it mounted or a letter on your have it mapped to your network, you should be able to play pretty much any file off it on your PC or again on any type of device, phone, tablet. And again, computer, even TVs.
Because how long do you hold on to your files?
Not very long.
Seriously, you don't go back to?
They take up a lot of space. So pretty much once I've taken all of my footage and edited it down into something that I'm going to post somewhere publicly, then I get rid of all of my footage.
You just dump it?
Yeah, after I've used it.
Okay,
for the most part, I just bye-bye.
So on a previous show in another life, when we were on a different video serving host, and when that died, the show died with it. And so if it was only because we were keeping these big, USB hard drives around that we still have an archive of it. But because of that, I got super paranoid, and now I've got videos from my reviews. I think back to 2011.
Oh man!
So if I want to reference a phone from 5-6 years ago, I can pull up the original video that I shot of it, and it's all because I've been on these big hard drive network boxes now.
I must have way too much faith in the platforms that I upload to.
I'm so paranoid. I'm so terrified that I'm going to lose something. And so, so obviously you need a good network to kind of keep this stuff running and to access it. I mean, I'm on a very new router. I'm on mesh, and I can edit directly from the files on my NAS. But what about something like PowerDraw? Or do consumers, because a cloud solution, that's someone else's server. They're paying for that.
Right.
Is this something that people will have to take into consideration, a device that's running constantly like that?
So it obviously will have more power consumption if you don't have it in your home. But from even the hard drives, typically you're going to put 4 hard drives in there, which can consume some power. The Red family of drives, like the WD Red itself, depending on the capacity, consumes, when it's operating, anywhere from 4 to 6 watts. So times 4, 24 watts, that's not much more than,
old light bulbs.
Light bulbs running. The Red Pro is a higher performance drive, and does have some additional hardware and features on it for bigger NAS systems and higher performance. Those run in the 8 to 10 watt, but again, it's still very, very reasonable for kind of the power draw.
And actually, I want to shift over to the drives because
Yes.
I thought it was actually kind of cool for Western Digital to be showing off different enclosures, because I know you guys as a hard drive manufacturer, and that obviously this is sort of an accessible, compatible solution for any type of box, any computer or any NAS that you want to put these drives into. Can you speak a little bit more about what makes the red drive unique? I mean, why wouldn't you want to do, like, I remember my old Western Digital greens, which were supposedly all about power consumption and greener footprint. Is there something special that consumers should know about the type of drive that goes into a solution like this? Sure.
The WD red drives are targeted specifically for these NAS systems. So before we came out with the red drives, it was 5 years ago, it was a challenge for consumers, and it was a challenge for our NAS partners to figure out which drive should I put into my NAS. And when we came out with the red drive, it made it much more simple. It made it easy for them to validate compatibility. So we would send them samples, or they would acquire the drives, make sure they're compatible. And then when they're in working with our NAS partners as well, and even for ourselves, typically the #1 tech support call from consumers is, okay, I bought a NAS, now which drive should I put into it?
Gotcha.
And before we had the red drives, we could explain our rainbow of colors, as well as competitor drives. There was a number of them as well. So it got pretty complicated. So by having the red drives, they can look at a broad range of capacities across the red or the Red Pro, and that is one of the key attributes we have of the red drives, is making sure that they are compatible in their applications.
And what differentiates the red from a Red Pro?
Great question. So red was the first one we came out with, more for the consumer and kind of Soho NAS systems. And then as we were shipping that, people were asking, well, hey, what about these rack-based systems or really high-performance NASs that were coming to market as well? And we only recommended the red drives up to 8 bays, but I have a 12 bay or a 16 bay or 24 bay. We were then offering our enterprise drives, but that didn't really fit the message of having a drive family for NAS. So we came out with Red Pro, which is higher RPM, higher performance, has these hardware vibration sensors on them as well, that allow us, especially in the bigger systems, to detect the vibrations that's coming from the other drives within the system, as well as the fans. Fans generate a lot of vibration in the system as well. And vibration is very difficult on hard drives when you're trying to keep good performance.
You got a spinning platter in there.
Right.
Not a record, but
yeah. But its tracks are really, really close nowadays. So it's having that capability allows us to keep very high performance even in these bigger, more challenging systems.
Sort of like a noise reduction technology, but for a high performance drive.
It is. We actually we're able to detect the vibration, and we feed it forward into our servo system that then compensates for the vibration in order to keep the performance high as it's transferring data.
But a consumer in like a 4-bay box shouldn't feel like they're missing out on something extreme performance-wise if they're only going with a red drive versus the Pro.
Correct. That's the other interesting thing about NAS systems as well. They range from 1 bay up to 24 bays, and they all have different capabilities and uses as well. So those are just some of the things that you have to look at, and again, the capability of the systems can
vary.
Yeah. Right.
So there's a debate because I did a video on my old NAS.
Okay.
And in one of my graphics, I called it a NAS.
Yeah.
And there was a debate. It's like, when you're talking about an individual unit, I mean, how do you weigh in on, do you say I have NAS or do you say I have a NAS?
Ask the expert.
Go.
I say A because it's a thing.
Yeah.
So I would say I have a network attached storage device.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you add like a noun at the end of that.
Yeah.
There you go. That differentiates.
This could be an hour-long discussion.
Yeah, we can continue this off camera later because right now we're getting the almost out of time signal from our friends back behind the camera. Darren, what else do you want people to know about the WD red drives before you go?
Yeah, I think that the key message that we want to make sure that everyone is aware is these drives are targeted at NAS systems. We work closely with the NAS partners even on features and technologies to try to make it the best experience that a consumer is going to have when they get a NAS system and the red drives.
And you guys also have an anniversary, right?
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it your 5-year anniversary?
Yeah. So 5 years ago we started shipping the red drives. Yeah.
They put it in our notes. It's
yeah,
not like we just knew that. It's okay.
So it is something we are celebrating, and you'll see a bunch of campaigns and messaging around that. So we're proud that it's been I guess valuable enough to the market that it's existed for 5 years, and we haven't had to ditch it and go find something else.
No, well, that's really exciting. Congratulations.
Thank
you so much, Darren, for coming on the
thank
show
you for
today.
chatting.
Thank you.
Yeah, now guys, because this is Newegg Now, we're not just going to talk about the deals, we're also going to offer you an incredible deal. You can save an additional 20% off WD Red and Red Pro drives by going to newegg.com/NewEggNow and using the promo code that you will find there. This deal is exclusive to Newegg Now. It's only available through the end of today while supplies last.
Yeah, there's no window on any of the deals we're talking about. The sun sets and you might have missed out.
Yeah, actually, all of today's deals are just available through the end of today while supplies last. So get them while they're hot.
And coming up next, we're talking liquid cooling with EK water blocks. I'm super excited about this segment because I need some help.
We'll see you in a few. Next up on Newegg Now, we've got something really exciting for you. Juan and I are both super stoked. We are going to be looking at some premium cooling solutions from EK water blocks. If you happen to be a liquid cooling aficionado, you've probably heard of EK. And we have some really sweet deals in the pipeline coming up. See what I did there?
Again,
I'm so punny today.
I really feel like you're out dad joking me on the show, and I'm gonna have to work on that.
But you're a real dad.
But I'm the real dad. Yeah, we'll sort this out off camera.
Okay.
It's fine. We should probably talk about some EK water blocks. And to help us discuss the advantages of a custom liquid cooling solution, we have Miguel from EK. I'm really stoked here. I need some help
No
on
problem,
this.
man.
Yeah, welcome to Newegg Now.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, start off by telling everyone at home what you do at EK.
Well, at EK Water Blocks, obviously, kind of like you guys touched on, we make water cooling solutions for computers, kind of like you see in this beautiful system here. So, especially with computers now, it seems like every other day they're getting upgraded, they're getting faster, new parts are coming out. Well, with all that power comes more heat.
Yeah.
So with that, we make our product basically cools that down to let those parts run faster, run longer, and give you the performance that you want out of them. I mean, you buy these things to go fast, play any game you want. And if you're in the PC DIY market, you build it yourself because you want a certain look, right?
Right.
So with our product, it gives you that extra customizability that you kind of don't get with all-in-one coolers or anything else like that. If you want to.
I mean, you had to call me out because I have a really plain black all-in-one unit that is gotta go when I do the rebuild.
Yeah, man. Well, we've got a ton of options for you. We have actually a lot of our portfolio on Newegg right now. Going from if you're starting off, our kits are fantastic. They provide a great upgrade route. We have a number of our copper kits online. But for people that are switching over from all-in-one coolers, kind of like you said there, if you just want to maybe change the style like you mentioned, get a little bit more customizability with it, but you're not too much of an extreme overclocker, or going to do anything too crazy with it, our new Fluid Gaming line of products are perfect for you, man.
All right, now I know that we have a video showing off some other EK water blocks builds, so if we could go ahead and show that to everybody so they can see all these different
fire that up.
cool things that you're talking about besides what we just had.
I love
here
the look
on
of all
desk.
this stuff on the table. It's great.
Yeah. If you could just tell us a little bit about some of the advantages of liquid cooling, say with the Fluid Gaming line.
Yeah. Definitely. So the biggest advantage that we have with the Fluid Gaming line is the price to performance. Typically for a similar water cooling loop, like our A120, A240, or A240G kits, you're going to spend typically around double the price, if not a little more for it.
Okay.
The Fluid Gaming line, we really wanted to make water cooling more mainstream instead of being a very kind of niche market that it's been for the last couple of years, and provide customers that want a little bit more performance, something reasonably priced. So we switched the materials from copper, which is a pretty expensive material to manufacture, to aluminum, which still has very good thermal conductivity to still give you those performance results. Obviously, copper is still a little bit better, of course. If you're an enthusiast or you want the best out there, we still recommend our copper products.
Exactly.
But for just starting off, getting into it, kind of making that initial step away from the all-in-one coolers and really start getting the custom.
I feel like he's calling me out.
I'm not calling you out, man.
Okay, I mean, I know we're talking about that there are advantages over the all-in-ones. Can you describe what some of those advantages
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, first and foremost is rather than an all-in-one cooler, they have to fit everything into a tiny portion on the CPU block. With our kits, you have a dedicated pump, so it's going to be a little stronger there. Also, we have the full function of our block, and our R&D team is amazing. I mean, those guys are why where we're here today for. So we actually have thermal engineers that design these products to really make sure that you get the best heat transfer out of those. So with water cooling, it's basically a heat transfer process. You're taking the heat from the processor, from the graphics cards, sending it out through your radiator and cooling it down. And to me, the biggest advantage of our kits, our fluid gaming kits or copper kits or water cooling in general, is it's quiet.
Yeah.
Because if you have case fans in your system, I mean, you can put a lot of fans in your system to make it cool down, but it's going to get loud.
Well, and especially for both of us, like I do a lot of video and audio editing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's just a distracting drone. Like I didn't build my workstation to overclock. I built it to I need this to run as silently as I can while still rendering video. And then for you, you're doing the live streaming.
Anytime you're streaming or recording audio for any reason, the last thing you want is, in the middle to just have fans kick on.
I'm just going to do this for the rest of the episode so people know to buy it.
Right in the middle of what you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about the level of customization that would be available in building custom loops?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of really can make it your own. We have a number of different pumps that are inside of our kits. You can get a D5 pump, a DDC pump. You can get a taller reservoir, a shorter reservoir if you want more liquid inside of there. As mentioned, you can change the liquid color. You can change the fitting color. We have two different type of blocks. One that's nickel plexi, so you can actually see the channel, see inside of it to see the liquid. Or if you're more subtle, you just want a workstation, you want to put it in the corner and have it work. We have the nickel acetal, so it keeps it real clean. It's just all black on the surface. So, I mean, you can really style it however you want to match your motherboard, to match your theme if you're doing a theme to build. I know a lot of modders out there, they like to go water cooling because it'll match the whole theme and really make the computer come alive, if you would say.
So cool.
I mean, they've been showing us a bunch. That's also why I've been salivating over some of these builds. But I definitely fit into that target market where I think it was a little intimidating looking at all the various options and all the different solutions. And also just that idea in the back of your head, like water in my PC, that sounds bad. That's how you let out the magic smoke. So with that kind of complexity, I guess I would have the question, what kind of standardization do these systems have? So let's say I start off with a basic CPU cooler, and then I decide hey, you know what? I also do want to throw this on a GPU also. Does that require a lot of ripping parts back out?
Yeah,
are there I'm sure EK probably has a focus or at least an idea on that kind of expansion.
Definitely. So all of our kits are built to expand, obviously for those users. A lot of our kits focus primarily on the processor, just to kind of get you into door to water cooling. But they're all Genocore thread, which is pretty much the standard in water cooling now, as far as your fitting base goes. And all of our kits, essentially to add a water block on there, Newegg stocks almost our whole catalog of water cooling blocks. So you buy the water block, you buy your backplate, you buy 2 fittings, and you either use the remaining tubing you have left over from your kit or pick up some tubing, which is pretty cheap, and you just connect it. I mean, it's pretty much as simple as that.
Okay, you're making it sound really, really easy right now. Could you maybe show us live on the show how it's done?
Let's see how easy this thing
No problem at all. We have our A120 kit here, which is kind of the one we're focusing on here today. So it's very straightforward. Inside of it actually provides all the tools you need. So you don't need to purchase anything extra. You don't need to make a last-minute Home Depot run.
I'm so happy you said Home Depot. I was like, probably other retailers that I've made last-minute runs to that I probably shouldn't talk about live on the air.
No worries. So yeah, inside of here, like
so while you're kind of breaking all this stuff out, what would be some advice that you would give to like a first-time user who's interested in setting something like this up?
I mean, I would say just take your time. Really make sure your case is water cooling friendly. A lot of people, they kind of jump into it, they get excited. I mean, it's pretty exciting stuff. You want to make an awesome computer for yourself.
Right.
Just make sure you have room. Also, a general rule of thumb is for your components, so like processor, graphics card, you want to make sure you have at least 120 millimeters of surface area per component. Okay. So 240 millimeter radiator will work for a CPU or GPU. Optimally, we do recommend an additional 120 for headroom, just in case you do want to overclock a little, because you may not overclock now, but once you get a good water cooling solution,
you get a taste for
you're going to open up all types of doors that you didn't have, right? You're going to become a mad scientist and really just want to push what you have.
I mean, because the look of it, you could totally pull off like some good scientists.
Totally. All right, so you took out.
Yeah, we have our radiator here.
Yeah, we got the radiator.
We also include our Vardar fan, which is great for static pressure. It's one thing you do want to mention. When you're looking at fans, especially, we bundle ours with there, but there's a lot of people that like to use their own fans. You want to make sure that they're static pressure-based fans, because rather than airflow that's going to push air through the case, you need static pressure to make sure it gets pushed through the radiator, so that the radiator cores get cooled down, which makes your water get colder.
Gotcha.
So you want to make sure static pressure is key for your radiator there.
All right, he's got a radiator, he's got a fan.
Now we're getting to the meat here.
Yeah, that's a bigger box.
So inside of this box here, we have all the rest of it. So we have our clear tubing. Of course, it's got to be clear. You want to see the color, right? We have our pump mount. We have our pump test adapter. So rather than plugging it into your system when you're trying to fill it up and let it get run dry, we actually have one that goes straight to a power supply, plug into the fan header. That way you don't have to have it plugged into your motherboard or anything, just in case there are leaks or anything like that.
Oh, so you can test it before you...
Yeah, exactly.
Again, why I was nervous about liquid cooling in general.
Yeah, we take a lot of...
Why most people are nervous.
I guess it's going to work. I'm just going to push go, so...
Well, we try and make it that easy. We do a lot of, you know, water cooling has come a long way from where it used to be in the past, where it was tubes and zip ties and Home Depot water cooling fittings.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so our fittings are all pre-installed on all the products that come in the kit. So we have they're barbed base. So basically, you just take your tube. What I always recommend to people, it is a little bit snug. You can warm it up to kind of heat the tubing a little bit. I just kind of pinch the top. As you put it on here, you kind of just wiggle it, and it'll actually fit over the barb, kind of make a good seal. And then the compression ring on the top is just an extra precaution.
Okay.
So as it gets on there, it'll actually slide, compress over, and tighten down, squeezing that above the barb. So if you follow the directions and really just make sure it gets on there, you have a very little chance of that thing actually leaking, because it's on a barb to begin with and then also compressed over it.
Gotcha.
So it's a very tight seal. So again, no zip ties like in the past, man.
Well, I mean, obviously a lot of thought. You guys have been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it's all about standardizing, like knowing that
Exactly.
I have a source or a resource to go to when parts burn out, or if I want to expand, that I know that I don't have to go hunting for other solutions.
Yeah, definitely. We try and keep it simple, and all of our parts do come with a 2-year warranty, so if anything does happen in that time span, our customer support is something we take very good pride in. We have our US-based customer support agents, as well as a whole team in Europe also.
Cool.
So most of the day, I'd say probably like 20 out of the 24 hours, you can get a hold of someone actually, not just a database or anything like that.
And so you were saying, I mean, that you can keep pulling things out, and so you were saying like that doesn't need to go and sit on your CPU, like that can be housed somewhere.
This is what's actually going to be in your CPU. This is our CPU block, our Supremacy AX. So it's a very similar design to our award-winning CPU block that we use for the full copper loops. This one is obviously aluminum based, so it's very light. You can actually, I don't know if you want to touch it there. It's very surprisingly light.
It's very surprising.
It's also a more accessible price point then, yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's super light.
I like that.
So this kit normally comes in at $149, making it a very good competitor to all-in-ones, while giving you an easy upgrade path to get into custom liquid cooling that you normally wouldn't have until, like some of our other kits, like for example, that are $249, $289. We have some that are into $300s, copper-based. So the aluminum really makes it more mainstream and brings it to a wider audience of people, which is ultimately what we want in water cooling. You know, I love water cooling. I would water cool everything if I could, just for the look. Performance is also great.
You guys have like something for my super loud gaming laptop, right?
Not yet for laptops. We focus on the desktop platform, one step at a time, man.
All right, and this has been fantastic. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about the kit? I know that we're running short on time.
Yeah. Again, it's with our EK Fluid Gaming kits, we have a number of them. They're very good, again, to compete with the all-in-one solution. So a lot of people say, well, we have the 120 kit. What if I want more? We actually now have on Newegg our expansion packs.
Oh, nice.
So inside of here, you can actually see we have, this is our 360 expansion pack, which includes everything you need in one box. So typically for water cooling, you have to kind of piece it all out yourself.
Yeah.
Our expansion packs are great because inside of here, they come with your 3 fans, your radiator, and even underneath there, you have your 2 additional fittings, like I mentioned.
Right on.
Great.
So it's all in there.
It's your water cooling DLC.
Pretty much.
Thank you for laughing at how corny that joke was. I really appreciate that.
Well,
no
seriously,
worries.
thank you so much for coming in. This has been fantastic. Make sure that you come back soon because we
always
need
try
to do
to.
more of this live on the show.
Definitely.
For everyone at home, now that you see how awesome these custom loops are, and you know that EK Water Blocks is the premium water cooling brand, for those of you that want to get into liquid cooling, we do have a great deal for you exclusively as part of Newegg Now. You can save on EK Water Blocks liquid cooling A120 CPU cooler, which has everything you need to put together your custom CPU loop. That's the product that Miguel was just demonstrating. You can get this loop for $50 off the normal price. So to get those savings, you need the promo code, and you know where to find that promo code. Go to newegg.com/newegg-now and get yourself started with some liquid cooling.
Yeah,
Definitely.
That is cheaper than my all-in-one.
Yeah, so I mean,
that is a pretty good deal.
For the next 24 hours, that price is unbelievable.
So check out Newegg Now, the Newegg Now page, newegg.com/newegg-now to get started. And again, if you're watching along on Facebook and YouTube, hit the link below the video so you can go right to the deals page. And well, really, we're gonna take a quick break and come right back to wrap everything up for you guys.
All right. So thank you everyone so much for joining us for another episode of Newegg Now, and thanks so much to our partners this week, Acer, EVGA, Western Digital, and EK Water Block.
Again, just want to remind you guys, newegg.com/Newegg Now. Take advantage of all of today's deals because the clock is ticking on all of these. They will be running out by the end of the day. The promo codes, we got to recap.
Okay.
$999.98 for an Acer laptop and the new mixed reality headset.
That's such a good deal.
$100 off an EVGA 1080 Ti with that Newegg gift card. Don't want to forget about that. That's part of the promo code too.
Yeah, an additional 20% off WD Red and Red Pro drives.
And that $50 off an EK Water Blocks A120 CPU cooler. Some really great stuff. Those promo codes all available on the Newegg Now page. So again, I'm going to say head on over newegg.com/Newegg Now and start your savings.
And again, I just do want to stress that the deals on today's show specifically are only good through the end of today while supplies last. There's special savings just as a part of Newegg Now, so the supplies are limited. And we've been told numerous times before the show started that this might be a day that we need to underline and bold and italicize while supplies last.
Numerous producers on the Newegg Ninja team. These deals will not last. So definitely check out that promo page. Coming up next week, we're going to be back with another awesome episode of Newegg Now with partners including iBuyPower. I like buying power, CryoRig, and Gigabyte. So, awesome. Also just for people out there watching the show, we loved all the feedback that we got from our first episode.
Yes,
got some really fun chatter. And definitely keep dropping us those comments on things that you would like to see. I know for you and I specifically, we want to come up with some fun challenges.
We do, yeah. We're going to challenge
So-
each other live on the show because
I
there's
think
nothing that could possibly go wrong when we do something crazy like that. But no, seriously, if you're watching on YouTube, comment on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, leave us a comment there. If you want to tweet us, do that too. We'd love to hear your feedback and make the show better for all of us because it's a big communal live experience. So
Definitely.
thank you guys so very much for watching. It's been great to see you, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
This has been Newegg Now. Now you know.